Alright. Shelter the greatest need. Adequate shelter. To improve chances of surviving a nuke attack, the most important thing you need is adequate shelter, equipped for many days of occupancy. Unfortunately, most existing buildings today do not afford adequate shelter from fallout. If you're going to be in or near cities or in or near target areas, you should provide yourself with protection from fire and blast. Earth-covered expedient shelters can survive blast effects severe enough to destroy most homes. The shelters I go over in the next week or two are buildable in 48 hours or less. These types are good for protection against fallout. Alright, so the next week or two, I'm just going to take my time with this. Just primarily for fallout. I want to continue on here a little bit here before I let you go. I'm just going to read this little bit of an example. It just kind of gives you an idea here of, like bugging out. If you're going to bug out because you feel it's safer to bug out, you can make a shelter. You can build a shelter wherever you're bugging out to, or you can build that shelter beforehand, have it ready at your bug out location. It's something as simple as this here. That's a trench. And it's covered with poles there like that. And this one was built in 36 hours or less. I haven't gotten that far yet as to how you go about building something like that, constructing something like that. But I'm sure we'll be going over that maybe tomorrow. It depends. I've been really busy these past couple of weeks, and with the holidays coming up and everything. And there's really no need to rush through it. I mean, we still have a little bit of time, right? Before they move the doomsday clock to, well, what is it now, 2 minutes? It's the closest it's ever been. And that was, the 1950s? So we're tied with the 1950s right now. With all this stuff going on over in Israel and all this and that. The tensions, I wouldn't be surprised if they move it closer. We might be breaking another record here. So watch out for that this January when they move the clock 15 seconds closer. You'll see. Yeah, then they'll start making a big deal out of it. So I just want to pull this example out of the book. It was a competition they set up for families to see if they could build a shelter within a certain period of time, if they could do it successfully. So they gave them incentives, they gave them money and supplies, and they had them go at it and had them compete. So I'm just going to pull it out of here. This family, like scores of other families recruited to build shelters or life support equipment, was offered a sum about equivalent to labor's wages if its members completed the experiment within a specified time. The test period began the moment the family received written illustrated instructions preparatory to evacuating by car as mentioned in the preceding chapter. Like the other test families, this family was paid for all of its materials used. If a family worked hard and completed the project in half the specified time, it was paid a cash bonus. Throughout, such test workers were guided only by the written instructions, which were improved after each successive test. So what they did there, it looks like they evacuated by car to a location and they built a shelter. All right, so pretty much like a bug out location. That's it. Why not? Why not just put a trench in there? Or at least have something ready, like dig all the rocks out and then fill it in with just plain soil. So when you go to dig it out, you can dig it out easy. You don't got to contend with rocks or roots and all that. Maybe fill it with sand or something. And then you can use that sand to fill sandbags with to help, reinforce your protection against the radiation. That's it. Depends on how far you want to go with it. Also, a couple things here. it's good to keep in mind here. I think it's important to keep in mind that in a desperate, worsening crisis, our country's highest officials would supply strong, motivating leadership, which is true, which I agree with. You know, if we start getting closer and we start seeing, crazy stuff happening, and it looks like there's, you know, a greater likelihood of a nuke going off, that the government is going to start putting out info like they've already started doing, with the emergency broadcasting and everything else. So there you have it. Um, Americans would have received well in advance shelter building and other practical tested survival instructions. So there again, like, they're not only gonna, give you the motivation and the leadership skills, but they're probably gonna be handing out materials too, whether it's online or it's through the mail system. You know, there's more than one way of skinning the cat, right? But that's it. I just theory. My theory here is that if you're prepared in advance before all this stuff happens, you don't gotta fight people for resources. You don't gotta fight people for sandbags. You don't gotta fight them for Faraday bags. You know, you don't gotta fight them for freeze-dried food, stuff like that. Because once that warning comes down, people are gonna be going to the stores and gonna be buying that stuff up. And here you are, you know, if only you started a month earlier, a year earlier, a few years earlier, whatever the case is, you know. But, alright, so that's that one. The next one, shelter against radiation. This one, this one might take a few weeks, to be honest with you, because, the pace I'm going at it with this, like I said, I'm not in a rush. I think we got through the crux of it so far, but right now, let's see, we still got a few things to go over. Water, food, radiation meters, protecting against fires and carbon monoxide, light, shelter sanitation, preventative medicine, surviving without doctors, expedient shelter furnishings, improvised clothing or protective items, minimum pre-crisis preparations, permanent family fallout shelters for dual use, trans-Pacific fallout, and then there's the appendices, which we're going to go through as we go through the remaining topics. I'll just flip back there and show you real quick what the appendix is showing you. But that's it for today. If I get a chance, I'll hop on tomorrow and put something out tomorrow. But that's it. Right now, I'm Wednesdays and Thursdays right now. I may surprise you with one, on the weekend or on a Monday or Tuesday or something like that. But right now, expect these things midweek for right now. I think we got over the most important part. Alright. Thanks for watching.